The Invisible Man, which was directed by Leigh Whannell, who's well known for his writing for the Saw series and the Insidious series. For those of you who don't know, it's based on the horror novel by H.G. Wells and has since then seen a line of adaptations, and this is the latest adaptation that was released in 2020, starring Elisabeth Moss, who's famous for her role in Handmaid's Tale. So this time around, the plot involves the main character Cecilia, who's in an abusive relationship with her wealthy and ingenious husband, Adrian, played by Oliver Jackson Cohen. The situation is so bad she has to escape and stays with her friend James, played by Aldous Hodge, but it's only a short time after that she finds that her ex-husband has supposedly committed suicide. But as you can well imagine, she's haunted by her ex-husband even after death, where she swears that she's being followed and that somebody is manipulating her life and especially trying to make her look like a crazy person in front of all her friends and family. And this is where the horror element of the film comes from. We have a lot of these scenes where it looks like some kind of ghost or invisible man looks like is stalking her. And there are some great scenes of suspense, at least in the first half of the film. What I would say is unfortunate about the film, though, is that it's pretty obvious what's going on the entire time. And I'm going to go ahead and spill it because the trailer showed it as well. But it seems apparent that Adrian is alive and well because he was working some kind of optic technology where he wears a suit that makes him invisible. I mean, the movie is called The Invisible Man, so I don't think any of us should really be surprised by that fact. But it's really interesting how they take this sci-fi horror concept and apply it to a very real situation today, abusive relationships. And on one hand, I think this is a great thing to explore. I just don't think it really winds up, giving us any real answers, other than just acknowledging this is a thing that exists. Which is really too bad, because to use the horror genre to convey and explore this kind of uncomfortable territory is a really good matchup. I just feel like it doesn't really conclude anything or even really give us a very unique or interesting perspective. And if anything, I kind of hate that they use this concept to spin in this story, because it does take away from the concept that this is The Invisible Man based off the original novel. It kind of takes away from the concept of the actual story. I don't know, just in the back of my mind, that's just something that keeps bugging me. If they renamed it like The Invisible Woman or the Invisible Man's Wife or something of that caliber, I think we would have had a title and story that kind of matched together a little bit better. But despite how suspenseful some of these scenes can be, it's strange for me to label this as a horror film because it seems way more, drama-filled. Maybe a thriller. But the thing is, these scenes, when you really think about it, just feel like they're imitating a horror film. Like kind of getting its flavor, but I can't really say this is a horror film specifically. Especially since towards the end of the film, we do get a lot more action-oriented scenes. There are a couple of surprises along the way, but they don't really do that much for the story. So ultimately, I do feel like that's one big strike against this film, is that if you want this to be a horror film, horror needs to surprise us. And this film really doesn't make any effort to surprise us. And one little bit of information that I found interesting is that this was initially meant to be part of the Universal's Dark Universe. But after Tom Cruise's The Mummy, released in 2017 to exceptionally poor reception, it's no wonder they rewrote this to be, a completely different entity. And I think that was for the best. And for a story that's supposed to be about an abusive relationship, it drove me nuts how Cecilia plays into the crazy tropes. She tries to say, oh, there's an invisible man, he's in the room with us right now. And I can't help but think, you're letting your ex make everyone think you're crazy. So these were just some really odd behaviors that kind of drove me nuts. For a character that's supposed to represent sort of a, female empowerment and overcoming sort of a harsh patriarchy, these are really stupid decisions. So I'm honestly kind of surprised to see some of the high ratings this film is getting. I mean, it's well shot, it's well made. I just don't think it's particularly explores enough to really merit the accolades that it's receiving. I mean, again, Elisabeth Moss does deliver a very good performance, but the character herself does some really stupid actions. So I would give The Invisible Man 2020 my score of 2.5 stars. Quite frankly, I don't think it really does anything particularly new or really delivers anything exceptional. I think it's just sort of a middle-of-the-road thriller trying to be a horror film, and that's about it. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Have you all seen The Invisible Man, the 2020 title? And if not, what else have you been watching lately? Comment below, let me know, and stay tuned right here if you all want to see more.